That's what we post at least half that door right there.
I remember that easily because of Las Vegas.
Yes, yep. I'm so excited. It's spelled differently. Yeah, no, I'm excited. And we're making a cool workbench using HashiMouse networking stuff. There'll be lots of people and like mutual friends there. I'm so excited. Yeah, because like our first meeting.
My name's totally easy.
No,
Yeah.
these
And
things
like
are
I get coffee, I get
it's really simple actually. You don't have to make it that hard. So
it should be for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I felt the same way, Cody, and then would be like,
Forever.
let's get this.
I was like, I finally got it down.
John fills it.
Right. We need like a book of Lisa's. But how everybody on and what they did. All the good stuff.
I am.
All right, it is 3 o'clock. Welcome. It is Friday afternoon, guys. Welcome, everybody. Aaliyah, we are getting started. Aaliyah, you're good. You're good.
You told us to talk.
I did tell you to talk. I know, we got to rethink this. This is a poor strategy. So, hey, everybody, welcome to Friday Conversations here at Action Business Furniture. It is, I'm super excited to have Christine here. We're going to jump into that in a minute. And I just want to real quickly thank, first of all, I just mentioned it, Action Business Furniture hosts us here. And they actually wanted me to make sure that we remind everybody they're now open on Saturdays. So if you're looking for something to do tomorrow and you want to come shop some business furniture, they are open on Saturdays, limited hours. So check the website. And then I want to thank Dave Ribble for bringing the snacks and beverages today. Appreciate you, sir. And we'll get into introductions as we go. I think what I want to do is, because there's so many people here today, I want to start with introductions, and we'll just go around and everybody say who you are, what your industry is, what your business is, and either if you have an event coming up, what that event is, and what time and how people can find out more information about it. Or just if you have a general goal or a kind of a client that you want to meet with, put that out there and let people know how they can reach out to you. So we'll go around and do that real quickly. I am going to start with Mandy. Mandy, go.
Mandy with Q Home Loans. And I don't specifically have an event, but something that I really enjoy is every Thursday at Burbity. Light Feet does both line dancing and several different East Coast dancing. They do West Coast swing. So please join us at 6:30, 7:30. They have all different intermediate, beginner, and I've been having the most fun. It's a really great way to just connect with the community and different people in a really fun way. So maybe I'll see you there.
Fantastic.
All right, I am Rob Reuter with IDIC Designs, Infinite Diversity and Infinite Combinations, and I solve small business problems dealing with their processes and technology, specifically focusing on helping you get your data in order so you can be more effective. One of the things I am talking about in terms of events is I'm also part of an online entrepreneur community called All for One Academy. And starting on March 3rd, we are doing a 21-day challenge to work with small business owners that want to improve their marketing. If you are, do your own marketing and you need help getting things set up and working, we have a 21-day challenge where we will help our community members get any number of things. And it's a pick your own adventure. So we have check for my contact info in the group, or I'll post a link to our challenge coming up soon.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Hey everybody, I'm Christine. You'll hear plenty from me throughout all of this, but I run Posted Consulting, a public relations firm in Spokane. And we have an event coming up in April, which I'll share a little more about later, but it'll be a collaboration networking event. So.
Excellent.
I'm Haley, and I run the Visionary Vault. So I put on events for our creative community. I do photo shoots. I've done a runway show, art exhibition. And next week on Friday from 6 to 9 downtown Spokane at Placeholder Studios, we're doing our launch party. So we're going to have 2 local DJs. We're going to have a trucker hat bar from Rebel Heart and dancing and photo off, so it'll be super fun. And to find out more info, you can check out our Instagram, The Visionary Vault.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Hello, I'm Zane. I'm with Zebra Go. We're a new company based out of Spokane, but we are a full CRM service for service businesses that go to people's homes or businesses to provide their service. But we also answer the calls and help allow business owners to do what they do best and just provide their services while we handle the administrative tasks and kind of keep everything organized in the back end. I don't have any events coming up, but definitely looking to get out into the community and connect with people who want to do what they do best and have someone else handle the rest.
Fantastic.
I'm Aaliyah, and I own the nonprofit The Up and Adam Foundation, and I'm working on our first big project here, and it's going to be a new science, basically based park. It's going to bring the outside inside, so real potted trees and plants. Every area is going to have a science theme. There's going to be activities for all ages to do, including adults. Weekly teen nights, so we can get them off their screens, because teens don't have anything to do, but we want them off their screens. So every week we will host something fun for teens, like dance night, trivia night, whatever. So we are actually putting together a gala, a fundraising gala here probably next month at the Philanthropic Center, but I'm still don't have the date set yet. Hopefully just so people can come out and learn a little bit more about it. And then besides that, you can go to SpokaneInnerPeace.org to look at our website. You can see renderings of what we're trying to do. And yeah, that's basically about it. I mean, I can go on and on.
I'm Summerlin. I own Ginger Designs. We are a residential interior design company, and we are 2 years old. We don't have any events, but we're just working our way through establishing ourselves.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Andrew. I own Kinetic Detailing. It's an automotive mobile detailing service. I do cars, trucks, boats, RVs, all kinds of things. Been in business for about 6 years. I love working with old stuff, new stuff that hasn't been cleaned in 13 years, brand new stuff, who knows, ceramic coatings, all that jazz. I'm also really big into dance, country swing, West Coast swing, and all that, so it's my favorite. I'm an up-and-coming instructor, so yeah, that's me.
Excellent.
My name is Jose, and currently a little bit of freelancing, was working in title with real estate agents, but going to that field, so we'll see what the future brings at the moment.
Fantastic. Welcome.
I'm Heidi Simmons, and I help moms build their child's confidence. And I just posted a video. It is 3 steps to build, or 3 steps to getting your child to open up to you. So if you're tired of getting those eye rolls from your kids when you're trying to talk to them, you can get this video at empowerengage.com/realtalk, and I will put that in the comments.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Hi, everybody. My name is Dave Ribble. I have a company called Stand Up Mastery, and we focus on helping professionals of any industry with how well they communicate, connect, and collaborate. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what Christina has to say today, because this is very, very important, good topics. March 1st, we're going to do another live workshop. This time it's not going to be at Shadle Library. That's going to be at South Hill. So there's going to be more detail coming from that as well. I look forward to today. This is a great group. I'm glad you're here, and let's get it going.
Welcome.
I'm Nick Santelli. I'm with Guardian Mortgage. No events coming up, but just working the mortgage business, and it's turning on. If you guys are interested in real estate, we got people here you can talk to.
Excellent. All right. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. I am your host. Oh, wait, Data Money Mike.
Hey, I'm Data Mining Mike. When you think about data, you think about mining. And when you think about mining, you think about Mike.
I love that.
Yes.
Data Mining Mike is our engineer in the corner. We try to get him to join us at the table. He likes his corner, so.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm Jonathan Byron. I'm the host. I am a realtor. And what I find is that a lot of people have a lot of anxiety and fear around purchasing a home, selling a home. It's a big, complicated process. And what I do is relationally take all of that out of the process, make it a clear, easy thing that people understand what they're doing and can confidently move forward with their real estate. So if you know somebody, especially right now, somebody that's paying rent and they have good income, this is a great time to be a buyer. I'd love to talk to them and help them get that going. As far as events go, my wife and I do a monthly event at our house where we invite people in to just kind of hang out and cross the aisle, so to speak. It's not a political thing, it's not a business thing, it's not a religious thing, it's just people being people in community. And our event is this Sunday. So it's a chili cook-off. I have a couple of you already signed up. Everybody in the room is welcome. Everybody watching on YouTube land or Facebook world, everybody's welcome. And we have a link for that if you're.
It's a lot of fun too.
Us.
Nice people.
Dave's been there. Yeah. So we'll love to see you guys there for that. All right. I think we're ready to kick this thing off. Christine, I'm super excited. Why don't you get us started and tell us a little bit about this topic that you're bringing to us?
Yeah, so as part of a public relations agency, we don't just help people get into the news, we also help them work through creating collaborations with other people in our community. And sometimes it's working with influencers, sometimes it's creating really cool partnerships with other businesses. I want to bring your guys' attention to a few numbers. 229,000 is 229. That's the amount of people in the Spokane area. And then 34,000 is the amount of businesses in the Spokane area, and 10,000 of them qualify as small businesses. Now, even though we're in good company with 10,000 other small business owners in the area, I think we can all agree that starting and running a small business can be kind of a lonely process, especially at first. Your friends and family don't always understand what you're working through, and they're also rarely your target market anyway. So unless you're pouring a ton of money into your marketing, which you don't always have when you're starting a small business, it can be really hard to reach other people in the community, and it can be really, really hard to reach your target market. Collaborations is kind of a way to get through that. So when we talk about collaborations, it's important to consider the context of what types of media exist. There are 4 types. The first one is paid media. These are your advertisements. These are like your television advertisements, your radio, billboards, a Google ad, a Facebook ad, what have you. Basically, anywhere money is exchanged, that's a paid ad. The second one is earned media. Earned media is any kind of audience-based media like magazines, newspapers, radio stations that recognize you and see the cool things that you're doing and decide to report on you. And that's really where Posted Consulting does a lot of our work, is in earned and owned media, which brings us to our next point of owned media. That's any media that you own. This is your social media accounts, your website, your Facebook page. Oh, that counts as social media. Any newsletters you publish, your email list, that's all media that you own. So you kind of get to control what goes on there. Then the last one is shared media. And some people consider shared media and earned media to be the same, but they are technically different. And that is any type of media that you are sharing with another brand or company. So think of like influencers collaborating with you, or a business partnering with you to put on an event, being a guest on a podcast or a show, or being a guest blogger. So for the sake of today's conversation, we're not going to focus on paid media. We're just going to focus on earned media, owned media, and shared media, with most of our focus being on shared media. So shared media is effectively collaborations. And that's, when people think of like collaborations, they think generally of like a business saying, oh, let me go send a PR box to an influencer with the hopes that they'll post about it, or giving free product to somebody and just praying they'll get a shout out on social media. But collaborations can be much deeper than that. The basic types of collaborations start off with like sponsorships, which is like a brand recognition builder. Low risk, low reward, and medium effort. It's where like a business will offer their resources, whether they're, financial or time or equipment and resources, to another business to accomplish something, whether it's like funding an event or giving advertising space, or just helping them put the event on. Then you have partnerships. These ones I would say are more medium risk, but high reward and kind of high effort. I say high risk because you run the risk of reputational damage if the partnership goes awry, especially publicly. There can also be significant risk on there if it flops for whatever reason. And when there's, multiple people kind of tangoing, there's sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen and it can go awry. However, it can also be really great if you're trying to cross-pollinate your audiences. That's effectively where you have an audience and then another person has an audience and you're kind of sharing the two of those. And it's really nice for that. It's also really good for brand recognition. The other one is collaboration. Oh, there's two more. The other one I'd like to talk about is collaborations. I'd say this one's medium risk, medium reward, but high effort. On a lower level, it can be like exchanging product or service for promotion. But on a higher level, it can be launching products with another brand. It can be working together to create a movement or a nonprofit or a foundation. And then the final one is thought leadership, which is kind of like what we're doing today with having people come in and talk about stuff. It can also be guest blogging, being on a YouTube show, all sorts of different things. So a question that I often get asked is who you should collaborate with. And I can tell you not all collaborations are created equal. And I know small business owners hate the C word, collaborations, because they get sucked into giving away free products for a shout out on Instagram, but there are ways to be a lot more thoughtful about your collaborations. What I like to think about when we're looking at collaborations is the level of competitiveness and how close of a match is the audience. So the first one that I want you to consider is complementary solutions. These are ones where you and a potential brand, you guys offer complementary solutions to the same audience. Think ketchup and mustard, or sandwich bread and sandwich toppings. An example of this out in the wild would be like a plant shop owner partnering with a ceramicist to sell pots in the shop that were made locally, right? What's really nice about this is you're working with someone who offers the same product as you, but they might have, the same market, but different people in the same market that follow them. So it's really nice to work with those. Those ones I would say are like the best ones. Those ones are usually the lowest risk, and they're also usually the easiest to put forth and create. So love that. Another one is similar services. These are ones where they offer a similar solution to the same audience. Think like a vintage store and a clothing boutique, or a gal who does like eyebrows and a gal who does lashes sharing a spa together. They're not necessarily direct competitors, but if their audience is more on the budget conscious side, their audience might make a choice in between the two or find someone who does both options. So those ones can be really valuable for collaborating and working together on. The next one is asymmetric services. So these are ones that they don't offer similar solutions, but they have a similar audience. This one is more like the influencer collaborations. For example, a hotel hiring a travel influencer. Travel influencers, they inspire people to travel. They inspire you to think of, oh, I want to go to this place and I want to go to this hotel. So it makes sense that a hotel would want to work with them and do a collaboration of sorts. Another collaboration that's similar to this is when a business partners with an artist. So think of like Coach partnering with Basquiat for their campaign where they had all these beautiful bags with beautiful paintings across them. That was a really good collaboration because a lot of people that are interested in like designer bags might also be interested in arts and culture. So the next one I call broad asymmetrics, where this is like not a similar solution that they offer, and the audiences are not obviously similar, but if you reach for it, there can be a little bit of overlap. These ones are really, really good if you're trying to nurture a part of your audience that isn't often represented in your marketing. It can also be good for activating parts of your audience that normally you wouldn't necessarily target actively, but it's more of like oh, these people purchase our product and we kind of want to appeal to them. The other thing is that this one's also really good for generating buzz. A recent example of this one is Dunkin' Donuts and their collaboration with Sabrina Carpenter. Sabrina Carpenter has that song Espresso. maybe you've heard it 1.5 million times. They did a collaboration with her where it was like commercial, where it's all about that S as in espresso. That was really fun. And when you would think of Dunkin' Donuts, you wouldn't think, oh, these are the kids that listen to Sabrina Carpenter. And when you listen to Sabrina Carpenter, you wouldn't say, oh, these are people who obviously drink Dunkin' Donuts. But they ended up having huge success with that campaign. It also activated a younger part of their demographic that they might not have reached otherwise. Another example of this where you might have a broad asymmetric is Michael Cera with CeraVe. The only thing that connects them realistically is that they both have Sarah in their names. And they did a whole campaign where he was like taking the CeraVe stuff off the shelf in the store, and it was a whole thing, and it got a lot of media attention. So broad asymmetrics are good for generating buzz. Broad asymmetrics can also be good for cradle to grave strategies. Cradle to grave strategies, I would say, are best exemplified by like McDonald's having like the Happy Meal for the kids, but then also having options for teenagers and adults and marketing at each of those groups. That way, no matter what age you are, you can find something you like at McDonald's. So those are broad asymmetrics. A fun example of a broad asymmetric campaign that I see every year in Spokane is when like local dispensaries will invite like Girl Scouts to come and like have a little shop outside their store. So that's kind of a fun literal grassroots campaign. So all of this to say, when you think of how to stretch your marketing budget, look into fun, exciting collaborations outside of the basic, let me find someone to talk about my product and give them money in exchange for it. You can actually create some really fun collaborations when you work with businesses that have like-minded audiences or offer similar solutions or offer complementary solutions. One of the ways that I recommend people go about getting started is to get out and network and connect with people who either do something similar to you or are completely different. And just when you're talking to them, think, okay, how can I help them? Don't think about what they can do for you, but think about like how you can help them, who you can connect them to. Give a little bit of yourself to the situation and see how it goes. I could speak on collaborations for hours, but for the sake of discussion, we should probably get to some chatter. So my question for everyone at the table is, have you tried doing a collaboration in your business, and what did you gain from it? What did you learn from it? John, would you like to go first?
Great question. Yeah, so I will go ahead and fill the gap a little bit so everybody can kind of just think that, have that question in your mind is, have you collaborated with somebody? How did it go? And as I'm talking, if you're like, ooh, me, go ahead and just like raise your hand, because we don't have to start with me. In fact,
Rob's ready to go.
I'm ready to go because Christine's talking my language for the last 2 or 3 years. And I was making the notes of your different ones because I've actively experimenting with different ones. So one of the spaces I work in technology is managed services provider. And so early on, after I met Dave Ribble and got into his standout mastery materials, I was looking at this and I was thinking, I really could be talking with other managed service providers that serve a different style than I do. So I have, while can't claim any results of it yet, I maintain relationships with a couple of different managed service vendors that have bigger operations than they hire people. And so their job is, they have a different price range that they charge and things. I'm focused on smaller business owners that don't have as many machines and devices. And so we just keep in touch. And while we haven't exchanged leads yet, what has happened is I know what's going on in their business, and then I can have a chance to refer things. And the relationship I have with Dave, I consider another collaboration where I'm doing similar thing, but we're in different industries and.
It's really interesting too, that when we go in to see clients separately, we still have in the back of our minds, you know, that there are some collaboration opportunities there. We just have to uncover them.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, if you explore that, a good amount of exciting opportunities start to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a business of discovery every day.
Oh, 100%. And what I don't think people realize as well is when you're trying to build out these collaborations, you're also kind of building out a referral network, which can be so
Betcha.
important when you're marketing in a city like Spokane.
Well said.
I'll add to that. Most of my business is like building up the creative community here and collaborating with local people, and I found that has gotten me a lot more followers. I'm probably almost at 800, and I just started it about a year ago. But whether that's like, I've had Fern, the plant shop here, they helped supply plants for a backdrop for a photo shoot. I've worked with local like jewelry artists for jewelry for the models, local designers for my runway show. Or even without my events, I just interviewed dancers at a local dance competition the other weekend, and I get a lot of followers from that because people are like, oh, she seems nice, you know, which is always a nice little perk. But just getting out there and, like she said, like being able to network, like going to all these events, I just constantly meet new people, or I'll co-host events with people, and then their demographic comes to mind, and we kind of intermix. But it's a great opportunity to build that trust because people are like, oh, I've worked with Haley, or oh, I've heard of her, or the Visionary Vault. And I mean, that's how I met Christine, is just through events I've been to, and like my friends have posted and networking, and now we're friends, so it works out.
Love it. I'll jump in. So that you're talking my language, because I am trying to meet as many people as possible, which is why I keep going to all these networking events, because everybody loves my idea, obviously. Everybody thinks it's necessary. I'm meeting Corey, including Councilman Bingle, who I just met, and then Crime interviewed me. So this is like stuff that I'm really trying to get ahead of, but like, I love the fact that everybody loves this idea. I just need more people to get behind me and helping me. I need to make those connections, because like I went from nobody to having like 3.5K followers from just trying to go to these events, right? It's just crazy because parents want it so bad. They're just like, we need this place. Bingo was like, I have twins. You're right. We need this. We need this. But I need those connections for people that are interested in donating or being donors or sponsoring some of my events, or helping sponsor in kind by helping me get a building. I'm looking for a building, you know that.
Yep.
I'm really trying hard to look for a building. So I need to get those connections, and I keep going out to these events, but I maybe need to find a better way to get those. I don't know.
You know, I think when it comes to networking, it can be really good for kind of one-to-one connections.
Right, I've done a lot
You
of
know,
events.
but if what you're looking for, I feel like it's a little more on the scale side. You need
Yeah.
to be meeting lots of people
Right.
in one like fell swoop, or you're going to tire yourself
Yeah,
out
that's what
with the
I'm
constant networking events. Maybe look into like speaking roles at local events that have like parents in the audience, you know, and maybe
That's a
have
great
like a
idea.
Kickstarter that
Right.
you plug at the end of it so that people can immediately start donating and helping out.
That's a
And
great idea. Yeah, we're fundraising with our merch, our cool merch. See, I gotta show the back.
Very nice.
Love it.
Very nice.
I actually had a mock-up design done before I started doing these, and it didn't have a hood, and I had somebody tap me on the back of the store and thank me for that. So I'm trying to spread more positivity too, because I think everybody's really in a down negative space right now, and I just want to lift people up. So, that's a really good idea. And speaking of collaborating, I'm collaborating with Heidi.
There you go.
Because we kind of have the same thing. So at my gala, we're gonna have her as a speaker. So
Awesome.
yeah, I love that. Yeah.
And that's, Aaliyah, that's what, as Christine was talking, I was thinking about you, and as you're sharing, I'm thinking one of the things you could do is explore a collaborative event like your gala,
Right.
but like even other events that bring in the people, the stakeholders that are gonna benefit from it,
Right.
and do a mini version of what you're gonna do, so they get their exposure, like a vendor fair kind of a thing.
Right.
But that bringing community together, you're sharing audiences,
Yeah.
it's a good thing. I don't want people to keep thinking, but I want to put a few thoughts out there for you guys to be considering. One if you have not done this and you're like, what in the world? This sounds so overwhelming and intimidating. Like, share that, like, ask a question, like, tell us what your business is and like how, because we want to help troubleshoot. That's one of the things we want to do here. The other thing is, and I'm just like, this is the question that I'm having, like, if I've never done this before, how do you get started? So for those of you that have done it, like, how do you broach this topic? Like, I'll give an example. We're here at Action Business Furniture because I'm driving down the road and I'm on Sprague and I'm thinking, where could we host a meeting? And I just happened to see the building and I was like I literally was going 35, 40 miles an hour down the road. I was like I didn't, yeah, like it wasn't crazy because I had enough time, but I just stopped and pulled in and I walked in and I walked up to the front desk and I was like, hey, can we do? And I told him what we were thinking about doing. And he's like, I don't know, I'll check with the owners, but I think so. And so here we are, like that was it. It was that simple, but I'm curious other people's experiences, like how did you overcome that initial anxiety of like, what if they say no? What if they kick me out? Like, I think a lot of times we feel imposter syndrome, right? And it's like, oh, I can't go into this business and present this because I don't, like Aaliyah, you don't have a building yet. You don't have, but you do such a great job when you promote what you're doing. It's like, to me, I'm like, where is it? Like, what's the address? I want to go. So that's, I mean, you do a great job with that, but like so for those of you that have done it, like those are some of the things maybe you could speak to, but for those of you that haven't, like what are the questions that you have in your mind of the people that have done it?
Well, I'm actually pretty new. So I can relate to like, what do we do? I mean, when I first started, I had people ask me, well, who do you want to collaborate with? And I was like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I started going to these network events and then I heard what Aaliyah was doing and I was like, oh, that would be perfect because it's like really the same audience, but we have like two separate things. And then I found somebody else to collaborate too, same audience, but again, two separate things. So actually the three of us will.
We're Charlie's, if you don't know, we're gonna get an AI done. We're Charlie's Angels, me, Heidi, Katie Pervians, if you don't know her from Spokane Co-op. We've decided that we're the Charlie's Angels. Mike Malia, who's on my board, is our Charlie. So I'm literally ready to get us like an AI as well.
Yeah.
That's great.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Cool stuff is coming.
Well, and it's funny, and this is, I'm gonna tell on myself a little bit. When we were going around the room introducing, Aaliyah, you were talking about, kind of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to introduce her to Heidi. Because Heidi and I met earlier today with Katie, of all people. And so I'm thinking that, and then like we go around and we get to Heidi, and I'm like, oh, Heidi's here, oh good.
We've all already connected.
But there's an important point there, and this is the feedback I was going to give, is it's up to each of us to look at our network and help collaboration grow among us. I mean, now that I've met Christine, I want to sit down and have a one-on-one conversation and figure out where our synergies are, because the relationships I've started didn't happen because I was looking for them to collaborate. It was because I met them at an event and we realized, hey, there's an opportunity. So one of the MSPs, I had no idea they existed, but I went to my client, which was Washington State Small Business Development Centers, and they were having a big open house, and he showed up at the same event. And I got to talking with him and exchanging things, and I said, hey, you must be interested in the cybersecurity conference that's coming up next month. And he says, the what? And I said, well, gee, there's this big event happens, cybersecurity, it's in our field. So we started on that conversation, and then we sat down on a one-on-one, and that's when we started saying, hey, he needs bigger organizations because he has a team he has to support. And there are people he has to turn away because they're not big enough. Now I'm a resource that if he can't serve them, he can introduce them to me. So it begins by being open, having the conversations, and just listening, and then thinking, who can I connect them with that might be an opportunity for them?
I love it. I think it's fair to say that most of us think that when we have an entity that we're selling somebody, or we're trying to get somebody to buy, we just think in those parameters when we're sitting there talking to somebody. If we get into a better habit of simply saying, who else can I introduce you to? Or who else would you like for me to introduce you to that I may know? Or who else would probably be a fit for you if we were going to try to collaborate something and cook it up? How would you like for me to introduce you to somebody else? What would you like for me to say? All of those things go into it, and you pretty soon you take those old bad habits of just thinking in myopic sense, and you start thinking, you know, if I start connecting a lot of people, if I connect Nick to Jonathan, there's a possibility that they're going to be able to do some business together, but until Nick knows Jonathan's out there, then he can't get to that. But I'm going to introduce him. And what happens is that I end up with a group of people that will follow me and do whatever they can for me too. And I never have to look back and try to replace all of that referral business with somebody else. I've got an army coming behind me. And if I treat them well, they're gonna try to take care of me as well, right, Ginger?
Well
think?
said.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Very well said.
So I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, so I actually left my previous company and I was planning on leaving the industry. It took about 2 weeks before my husband was like, you need to start your own business. I don't know what you're doing. So I started my own business, and the first 2 years we had zero marketing. I maybe posted on Instagram 3 times, and we tripled our sales the second year. So it was all connections. It wasn't until probably 6 months we rebranded, we put our names on our car. We still don't even have business cards, so like very, very fresh. Within that decision, we also decided to work with Christine. And going into it, it's like, I have no idea what we're doing, but my business partner was like, no, I messaged her, we're going to get coffee. I'm like, great, you got this. And the first couple meetings, we were like, oh wow, this is really cool. Still not fully understanding what we're doing, right? I just know that we're going to get coffee, we're having really great meetings, we're coming up with really cool things. This last meeting that we just had, we start talking about a photo shoot that's coming up for one of our projects, and all of a sudden we're incorporating 2 or 3 of her clients into our photo shoot and are gonna create this really cool project that wouldn't have been that way had we not been working together. And so it really is those relationships that you have with people and just being able to pull somebody from every corner. And I think even like in your industry as well, I'm a firm believer that I might not be for everybody, and that's okay. I don't want to be for everybody, but there is another designer out there that I truly trust that I will pass on. If you want a designer that's going to design you a cabin, I got a girl, and she is right there for you. And so I think that those relationships just mean so much when you're going from client to client and person to person.
One more emphasis on this, and that is that you use the word trust. And one of the things that we kick around here a lot, and you carry the flag on this too, is that the best possible thing we can get good at is a third-party endorsement. When you have somebody that will say nice things about you, you've already passed the trust test. You know, the trust kind of critique that has to be there. Because I can tell you all day long that Heidi is amazing.
Yeah.
Heidi comes up to you by herself and says, I'm amazing. That's not gonna work, but you're gonna accept it from me, and I've already cleared the hurdle for whether or not you can trust Heidi, because I've already endorsed her.
Yeah.
Huge, right? What do you think, Christine?
I agree with all of this. I probably say this once a day, but a rising tide lifts all ships. So we can all help each other out. And I really do think that like the first step to starting a good collaboration is being good at connecting, whether it's connecting one-to-ones or saying, hey, I might not be the right person for you, like Summerlin said, but I know somebody who might be good for you, and connecting them. So, yeah.
That's great.
See, sometimes it's collaboration when we look at it and say, how do we start collaborating? Sometimes it's getting out there, we say we go to a network meeting, but I think Christine and Rob, you guys might have actually said it already. It's sometimes knowing your competitor. When you call up a particular shop because you're looking for someone to do your HVAC system, right? And that first person that you call, you're saying, hey, can you do this particular job? And they tell you no. What do you do next? You kind of go, no. Do you just kind of start calling down the list? Well, most of us do, right? So then you go into Google and you find a couple other places, and then next thing you know, you call 4 different places and they're all telling you no. But then we forget to ask, well, if you don't do it, who would you recommend?
Yeah.
And that's where it really comes down to. I think Rob's saying it right with you, Dave, is that correct?
Yeah.
Where you don't provide a particular service, so look at your competitors, go to them. If you run a car detailing business, you might not do an older car that has very little clear coat on it because you don't, you're not.
I refer people to window tinting all the time.
There you go, right? So it's one of those things is know who your competitor is, because how do you start that collaboration? Sometimes it's just odd walking up to a person and just going, hey, who are you and can we collaborate? Well, start it with your competitor, because sometimes you might not be able to provide a particular service, and that's okay if you know someone in your field that you're able to, and that's where that trust then starts to begin. A lot of folks will tell you sometimes, yeah, they go and do particular events and they have something to give to you. They're looking at the ROI. If I just give you this, I don't care, really. It's who can you connect back? So I think that's a key thing to remember is always know who your competitor is and reach out to them. There's plenty of fish in the pond. Trust me, someone else is going to cast a line and they're going to catch the same thing that you're going for. So why don't you go ahead and make that connection? So, and that's an easy way to do it, because who else to talk to than your competitor? Because you know what? You really don't know if you're going to run into each other. And if you do, you might be able to help each other out.
Great.
Totally. I really recommend grabbing your competitors and going and grabbing coffee and just talking about stuff and being like, hey, so have you also worked with this person? What do you think? What do you learn about this experience? Do you offer this service? Okay, well, I'm thinking of offering this one. Do you have any recommendations of someone who's already done it? And just chatting with them. There's so many referrals that I get from other agencies in town and from other people who are like, hey, this person might not have been a good fit for us, and they end up being some of my favorite people to work with.
Absolutely. That's a key opportunity to not forget is call up your competitor. Take them to coffee.
At the end of the coffee meeting, it's always helpful to ask, how can I help you moving forward? What kind of referrals would you like me to send your way? And then that gives them an opportunity to ask you the same in return, and boom, you just, started a little bit of your referral network.
Yeah.
Some of the best referrals partners that we have will never buy from us.
Absolutely.
It's okay.
What I like about this conversation is, a lot of times you feel like, oh man, in order to get out there, like you've got to be that outgoing person. That's not me. So I've actually been really blessed with, I started kind of getting into the networking waters, and I get into a small group, and then I get invited to another one, and I get invited to another one, and I get invited to another one. And so it's just by building those small relationships, and it really is about that relationship. And I've got a great collaboration right now with an individual who works for a company that does recruiting. And it works great, and I didn't initiate that in any means. It was all her. She came to me and said, hey, we should go to some events together. And we go talk to people and find out what their needs are. And maybe it's somebody who, they're starting to grow and they aren't ready to hire yet. Then hey, I can step in and offer my services. If they're like, man, I'm growing really fast, I need someone local, I need someone I can talk to every day. Hey, here's my referral partner, you can talk to her. And so it's all about, just building that trust with each other. And it's okay to start small. I'm definitely not a go out there and talk to people, and but even being here was the event of just getting invited to different things, because you build those relationships first.
It's good. And I was gonna say, and that actually creates an echo to it, is the importance of asking the next question. And so the scenario of you call an HVAC company and say, can you help me with this? And they're like, nope. Like, that's a failing on both sides, right? If they're not saying, no, but tell me more, because maybe I can connect you with somebody, they're missing out on opportunity to really provide that next level value. And also on the consumer. And I recently had septic issues at our house, and I don't want to get into it, but I was given 3 names of people that could help me with an aspect of the septic need. Every single one of them was like, no, we can't do that. And I said, well, who do you know? And they gave me 3 more names, and none of them could. It was a nightmare. But that has nothing to do with the point that I'm trying to, actually that disproves my point, and it's not typically that way. So it's ask the next question. It's who do you know that can help me achieve this XYZ? And then it's ask the next question is like, well, what makes a good referral for you? Well, you know, okay, tell me more about that individual. Because until you're crystal clear of like who that person would benefit from interacting with, you're probably not as likely to remember them, which I think is the other thing that's interesting about all this is staying top of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys might have a great impression of me right now, but if I disappear and never show up again, eventually you're gonna be like, there's a realtor guy with a beard, I don't know. Like you quickly disappear. So it's kind of that consistent building of a relationship. And that's why like finding good partners that can, you know, you do one event, it's like, yeah, that was good. Like, this is great. It's great that you're all here. We're gonna be here next week. You know, if you keep showing up, all of a sudden you start to like, oh yeah, Zane, I like that guy Zane. Let's do coffee next time. You know, so it's that just consistently showing up. The question that I want to pivot to, and feel free to keep it here, but you mentioned, well, 2 things. One, first of all, you mentioned at the beginning, being a business owner is very lonely. And one benefit here that we're not talking about, I just kind of want to reinforce, is just like being connected with people. And Heidi with the screens talking about kids, it's for us too. If we don't have this in-person interaction, like we start to have that atrophy of capability. And so that's a super, just being with people is why this is good. But I want to pivot to the PR, or like you talked about like the press, like you do something that gets the press's attention.
Mm-hmm.
What's the rhythm of that? And so a couple of different questions here would be, at what point do you engage a professional to help you get on that radar? But if you're doing an event, Aaliyah's gonna does she call the newspaper? Does she do a press release? Like, what's the methodology for getting on the radar of that sort of?
Absolutely. So it can differ wildly depending on if you're reaching out to print media or you're reaching out to like broadcast media. And it can also differ if you're reaching out to magazines, and even in that same vein, you know, traditional legacy magazines, or if you're looking for like one of those brand new magazines that they get like most of their money from advertising. It can differ wildly on how you reach out to them. Press releases are oftentimes in the PR world considered like a necessary evil, and can, by some of the younger ones in the group, can be considered a little bit outdated, but they work. Well, most of the time. Gotta be a little nuanced there. They work some of the time.
Yeah.
So once you kind of have an idea of the story that you want to promote, honestly, just reaching out, emailing the news stations and saying, hi, here's what we're doing. We have a press release, check it out. Or saying, hey, this is what we're working on. If you're interested in talking more about it, let me know. When I recommend people engage a PR professional to do it for them, is if they've tried it before and no one's answering them, they don't have time or don't want to write a press release, they don't have the connections at the news stations or in the media to kind of start these conversations, or they have no idea how to talk to a reporter. If they fit any of those, I say, okay, maybe it's time to like have a conversation.
Yeah.
Because I can write a press release in 15 minutes. I can send that out to my email list of people like that. And I've sent out press releases in a half hour, have interviews lined up for them, and we're getting the word out.
Cool.
Whereas
I have something I need to talk to you about afterwards, but I saw a few little hands popping up, so I don't want to cut you off, but I want to make sure that we keep this.
One last part on that. The issue is some people, they get really discouraged when they do it themselves because they don't have that rapport with different news stations. They don't know, like, oh, you can't write, you know, a press release this way. You can't be too salesy in your words, or they're gonna say, oh, this is just another marketing email.
Okay.
You know, so sometimes people really struggle with that. So those are the times when I would recommend getting some outside help.
Before we jump, do you do like workshops, like where you help people learn how to craft that, or you kind of just
I'm
like,
planning one this summer.
hey, all right, we want to know more about that. Jose, I think you had something.
My question might be more specifically, like, does everyone know what a press release is? I
Great
never
question.
knew what one was until our leadership came and said, oh, we have a press release. And I'm like, well, what's a press release? And then they kind of actually defined it for me, and I was really thrown back to what a press release was. So maybe some folks may not actually understand what a press release is and the goal of that. Maybe you might want to explain.
A press release is effectively an announcement, and it's supposed to be written similarly to the way the news is written, very impartial, not a lot of marketing speak in there, and it's supposed to give you the basic answers of who, what, when, where, why. A lot of times what I'll see is when I send off a press release, some of like the smaller papers or smaller stations, they will literally copy and paste my press release as a news article. You can usually tell when they do that because it'll say written by staff at the top of the email or at the top of the article, but that's neither here nor there. Fun little pro tip. But on that same note, like the press release is just one tool available in PR. Another one that I see a lot of people use besides a press release, and this one's really helpful for events, is a media announcement. So a press release is kind of similar to like an article, whereas a media announcement is like very clear. It literally is like organized by who, what, when, where, why. Whereas a press release is organized inverted pyramid style. So, yeah.
I had someone tell me that like a press release was like casting your net out there. You're going to throw out that press release and see who says, "Ooh, I want to know a little bit more about this story."
Totally.
So that's how
you can
utilize
press releasing for backlinking and SEO purposes.
Totally.
We have a service that does that.
Another thing to keep in mind when it comes to sending out press releases is there's different tools that you can use to send it. So kind of the most basic, bare bones way of doing that is to send an email and, write a nice little message, say, hi, I'd love to talk to you, and attach some say attach it. Some of them actually also will put it in the body of the email because some of the news stations have spam filters and things. They'll say, oh, there's an attachment. This is bad news. Don't open it. The other thing that you'll see is news wires, and that's ones that they'll send it out. You see that a lot with like publicly traded companies because, in order to not be accused of insider trading, they have to disclose when they're making money moves. So that's when you'll see them do like PR wires. So those are kind of fun. Then there's other tools that you can use, and we use a different like variation of some of them depending on like what our clients need and who our clients are. So like some of them for like local news we'll email, but when we're doing like national stories, we'll sometimes use news wires. And then the other thing that we'll do is PR boards where we'll post the press releases to PR boards so that different journalists around the country can kind of see, oh, here's this cool thing that's happening in Spokane, Washington. So.
All right, so yeah, that's kind of, I didn't reach out to any companies actually. They reached out to me. It was really weird. I was like, so Crumb did. But what I learned is that, that's kind of hard because I was interviewed a long time ago where my daughter was for another nonprofit that we had started, but it's interesting how much they cut because you are talking and then I watched it and I was like, oh, like, I didn't say it exactly like that, but okay. So that's something that like this last time with Crumb, I did most of the talking with the previous time it was my daughter. And I was just super nervous. And because I'm like you, I seem really outgoing. Everyone always thinks I am, but this is really more like a hat I wear. So like being on the TV, I was just like, oh my God, this is awful. I just felt awful. And I felt like I didn't know how to talk. I was worried about getting cut and things getting, misstrued. So that's something that like, and then one more topic I want to just bring up because I'm sort of a weird thing in that there might not be many connections that you guys can refer me to that you can't do that I would be looking for. But what I've tried to get started, and I know you've seen a couple times, and people don't realize how much this helps, and that's just sharing on social media. Like, please share my stuff. I ask all the time, and I share other people's things all the time, hoping that they will see that I'm sharing their stuff, and then maybe they'll share my stuff, but then very little do I see in return. So I just wanna say to everybody that that is one easy way where it costs you no money to just share somebody's post with your network, because there might be somebody that could help them, like me or Heidi or whatever. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So big on the sharing part of it. I do want to touch base on something that you had mentioned about the interview with Krem and how it was kind of jarring how they cut so much of it out. That's so common.
Right.
One of the things that I tell people when we do media training sessions is take this big thing you're trying to say and boil it down to 6 words or less.
Oh, I know.
6 words.
It's so hard to do.
Because that's generally what they're gonna cut it down
I know.
to, is just a handful of words. Wanna know what? This one time I got interviewed and I got to talk about like how much I love my clients and all the great work I'm doing. You know what made it? Me saying, absolutely.
I know.
Christine works with clients and loves them.
Absolutely.
So
I was freaking out. I haven't aired yet, and I'm already like stressing about it.
yeah, so when you're working on your stories, just when you're working with people in the news in the future, just think about like this big thing you're trying to say, make it as small as possible. The big ideas, they'll see it. You know, you build the field of dreams, they will come to it.
Right.
You know, but the Field of Dreams is a very short movie title.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, we need to have
So, is there a potential for sponsors? How
In
would
terms
you,
of,
would you take that on as a
yes,
finding
so
sponsors?
yeah, so we do that a few ways. So it kind of depends on where we're at in the process. So if it's, some people will contract us and say, hey, here's our marketing budget, here's our PR budget, find people for us to sponsor. And so we help with that end of it too, and that's really fun because then it's like, oh yeah, we're going to help out this nonprofit that, you know, aligns with their purpose, and we're going to help out this fun event that is going to have all of these influencers and major players at the event. We're going to help sponsor this part of it and helping them with that part. Then the other thing that we do is we help people on the other end that, you know, they're doing this cool thing. They have this fun event coming up. They are running a nonprofit and they need fundraising. They need people to get them money to build this thing or to get this thing off the ground. We help with that too.
So they have
And
to raise the
sometimes-
money to be able to raise the money.
Exactly. It's really hard.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of how it goes sometimes with fundraising.
Yeah.
So we help people with like that side of it, saying, okay, here's what you have. Let's help you create a media kit and figure out like what your packages are going to be. And if it's not a kind of sponsorship where packages would be relevant, then we kind of help them say, okay, here's what our basic ask is going to be. Can someone take on food? Can someone take on like the photo booth? Can someone take on this part of the sponsorship? So we help them with kind of creating the infrastructure to be sponsored. But then we also kind of help them with the reaching out part of it. And some of that is just, you know, leaning on those good old connections and being like, hey, so I know that you guys are working on your budget right now. This person here, they're working on this, and I think this would be a really good opportunity for you guys to work together. Can I connect you? And then that's kind of where that conversation goes.
In a PR sense, you're coming back to them as an opportunity to look pretty good in their
Exactly.
community that way.
Yeah. And then we also just kind of help out with like what it's like to be like a good sponsee, you know, where like someone sponsors you, write a thank you card, you know, give them shout outs on social media, go above and beyond for the people that are sponsoring you, because even if they have, you know, a budget for sponsoring, it's still no small feat to help somebody run an event, to help somebody launch a nonprofit, to help somebody, you know, get food on kids' tables, you know, like it's no small feat. So write a thank you, help them out. And so we kind of help with all of that.
Awesome. Well, guys, this has been an awesome conversation. I know we could keep going for another hour very easily, but we do try to keep it concise. And on the subject of collaboration, this is an awesome opportunity to make connections. I know I've made some awesome connections here in this room and appreciate everybody that's here in the room, but I want to invite the folks at home to come out to a Friday, be here in person with us, join the conversation. We're getting a little bit crowded around the table, so we're kind of talking about some strategies as far as how we can accommodate more people in the room and keep the conversation going. But for those of you guys that were here, thank you. Really appreciate you being here. We'd love to have you again. And everybody at home. And Mike, are you ready to take us out?
Yeah. Hey, do you guys know that cars are worth 5 times more parted than whole? That's why this episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Charlie's Chop Shop. Charlie's Chop Shop, cash for clunkers, no titles, no questions. Give them a call, they'll give you a pin drop. Charlie's Chop Shop, they probably got your car parts. And we want you to be sure to leave any questions you have in the comments below. Be sure to check out the link to Christine's website, give her some page ranking. Remember that sharing is caring, subscribing is what winners do, but smashing the bell, that's what legends do. This channel breeds legends. Thank you all.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.